Okay, so I got cut off because I did not realize that I only had 15 minutes to talk. It's my first time using Screencast-O-Matic. So I'm just going to recap real quickly what I was saying at the end of the last video, and then go into what your practice and test are going to look like for this concept. So let's get started. I was just saying that you cannot separate the form of the verb haber from the past participle. So no matter whether you're saying no, nunca, you've got a mete, say, nos, or say, you've got a lo or a la, something might be happening with that verb, but it's never going to come between your form of haber and your past participle. It's a compound tense. Those two parts of the verb must stay together. So if you want to say, I have not bought the ticket, you say, no he comprado el billete, and the no comes in the front. This last little part is just telling you a little bit that we already know about having an extra accent mark written in on our past participles of ER and IR verbs that have a stem right before the ER, IR. I think our last important thing to know is really what it means. Why are we doing this to these verbs as opposed to other things that we've done with verbs in the past? And the reason why, again, is that we're saying something that has happened in the past. It happened in the past, but relates to the present moment. That's why it's called the present perfect. Happened in the past, relates to the present moment. And I think when we look at some of our samples on what the test is going to look like for this, it'll start to really make sense why we are doing this the way that we're doing it. The first section of your test, which will be, I'm thinking, probably tomorrow. We'll see. Maybe you might need a little bit of extra time, I'm not sure, to do some practice work on it. So this test, I'm sorry, I cannot make this go any smaller than it is. The test for this will be either tomorrow or it will be on Wednesday. In either case, what you're going to have to do first is write in the forms of haber in the present tense. Has, a, hemos, habéis, han. They're all going to be silent H's, but you have to write in the H. And you'll have those in a packet form to study from to make sure that you know those forms. Very, very important. The next section right over here has some past participles. And you'll notice that most of these are regular past participles. There's a few, though, like hacer, whose past participle is hecho, or componer, which works just like poner, and the past participle is compuesto. So we'll give you another set of Quizlet words to practice with those, to go through and make sure that you know the difference between the regulars and the irregulars, and you can give those past participles. Just like our last quiz that we took, you don't have to make those feminine or plural, do anything different to them. They will all end in O, and most of them will end in ado or ido. The next section of your quiz is going to be one of these types of quizzes where, let me make this a little smaller so you can see it, where you are going to complete the sentences. We give you the sentence in English so you completely understand the context of what you're writing about. And some of these sentences are going to require the present perfect, and some of them will not. So it is not just blindly putting every word into the present perfect. You actually have to look at the English sentence, think about what it means, and apply your knowledge of what does the present perfect mean in order to use it at the correct time. So for the first one, we have used that app many times in class. We're going to be looking at the words in English here, have used. Compound tense, also in English. In English, we have the helper verb have, we have the main verb used, and that would require the present perfect. So we'd write the we form of haber, hemos, along with the present participle of used, which would be utilizado. It gives you right here in parentheses at the end the verb, so if you put usado, you really should put utilizado. That's the verb that they're giving you right here. Hemos utilizado esa aplicación muchas veces en clase. If we move down to number 3, it says she typed an essay for her English class. And this can be tricky because typed sounds an awful lot like a past participle. In fact, the past participle of type in English is typed. But this does not have a helping verb with it. It is not saying she has typed an essay, simply that she typed the essay, typed an essay for her English class. So that's an example of one that you would just put an X there, leave blank. You would not have to answer If you would like to try out your preterite conjugation skills and conjugate take they are in the preterite for she, go for it. But as long as you put an X in the box right here, I will know that you understand that that example does not require the use of the present perfect. So it looks like there's about 15 of those on the quiz. We will have a practice page like that in your packet that you guys can go over. So be sure to ask each other any questions. Rewatch this video if you need to. The most important pieces are going to be practicing your past participles, especially the irregular past participles, knowing the forms of the verb haber, and clearly understanding what does it mean when you use haber with a past participle using that form called the present perfect. One easy part is that when you're using these past participles like aprendido, compuesto, estado, hecho, sido, you never have to change the ending to an A or an S when you're using it with the verb haber. It is not an adjective like it is when we used it with the star. Looks the same like an adjective, but these are actually a verb form. And so, being used this way as a past participle with the verb haber, you don't need to change the ending on it. So, I hope that as you guys go through and do some of the Google form practice that we're going to have set up for you, and some of the paper practice, this will really click and make sense, and that nobody will need to retake this quiz. Let's plan for this quiz to be on Wednesday so that you can continue the online practice today, do some practice on paper tomorrow, and solidify your understanding. And first thing on Wednesday, be ready for that quiz. That means for block students, your quiz will be tomorrow in the second half of the block. As always, if you have any questions, just reply back on Remind and send me a text or send me an email, and I'll be happy to clear things up for you. Have a great day.